Hi there, everyone. It's November 9th, 2016. It's the day after the election, and Donald Trump is our new president. I thought it was time for another therapist gone rogue, number 4, coping with the election. So I don't know if you're like me, but perhaps watching the returns last night, you started feeling a little upset. And if you didn't and you were happy, maybe this isn't the video for you. But if you felt, like I do, that all people should be respected and have dignity, then maybe this video is for you. And if you felt that fear-mongering and fear-based thinking is not the best way to solve the problems in the world that require us to think complexly and in many multiple ways and how it's going to affect lots of people, and that fear-based thinking isn't the way to do that. If you believe that and are disappointed with the election, maybe this video is for you. Or if you believe that where we really need to go is cooperative power sharing, as opposed to power over others and judging and oppressing others, then maybe this video is for you. Now, after hearing the goings-on before this election, I think a lot of us were feeling hopeless, somewhat hopeless, about the direction where things were going. It was very negative, not listening to each other. And so we need to turn the tide. Now, maybe you're thinking that because Donald Trump is now going to be the president, that it's going to be worse than ever. And that might be true. But it doesn't change what we should do. And that's what I wanted to remind you of today. We should stay loving. We should stay grounded in our capacity for listening, creating peace, and coming up with options that work for the most people. That's what we need to do now. It's never been easy here on planet Earth. Human beings are put here to learn about power, and they're not good at it. We're also put here to learn how to love one another and try to be as good at that as possible. And then there's expressing our gifts and talents. And that's, every one of us needs to do that. If we can put those 3 things together, we would really be in a good spot to take on whatever happens while this presidency is going forward. Last night when I was listening to the results coming in, I ended up turning the sound down and calling a therapist friend of mine, Danielle, and we were just sort of kibitzing and moaning and groaning about really like, how are we going to cope with this? What are we going to do? And I will admit I was feeling panicky. So we had this conversation back and forth, and then I had my journal here, and last week I had written a parable about greatness. And it actually happened at a time when I wasn't feeling like I was very great. And I was questioning some of the things I have and haven't been able to do in my life. And I started the parable and wrote, I knew what the question was going to be. But then as I was writing it, I opened myself up and just to let the answer come through so that I wasn't trying to guide it. And the answer really wasn't what I wanted to hear. And when you hear it, it might make you angry too. But I think there's some answers in it for what we need to do now. Because frankly, if you're worried about whether America is going to be great again, we have to figure out how to be great in our own way. We did have an election. Somebody did win. If it's not the person you like, then you have to, by being part of the democracy, you have to be part of the rest of the population that watches what happens and keeps abreast of the news. And when you see hateful things happening, you must speak out. You must draw attention. If you have privilege, you must use it to help the people who don't have privilege. So this is the parable, and I'm going to read it. It's not too long, but I'm hoping it's going to be helpful. And it's called the Greatness Parable. Once upon a time there was a common girl who grew up to be a woman. She was a common woman, a nice woman, but common. She was mostly pleasant and kind, but sometimes she was small-hearted and angry, despite her best intentions. She wanted to be rid of her small-heartedness that underlied her anger, so she set about trying to discover why it happened. She suspected that there were times in her commonness that she learned she didn't always get to experience the best of things. She didn't always get to experience the most powerful things. And even though she tried to pretend it didn't matter, it seems that it did. Not in individual things and times, but all those times put together left an undeniable, if invisible, mark inside of her, convincing her that she could never really have what she wanted, that she could never really experience true greatness. Mostly, and on lots of days, the idea that greatness was not for her didn't bother her too much. It seemed that for many, life didn't hold a lot of great stuff. And indeed, she was very grateful to be experiencing the good stuff that she had, or even the good enough stuff, for her life was filled with privilege. But then every once in a while, there would be something great that she would witness, see others experiencing, and she would revisit the old awful place inside herself that she had come to know that really great stuff did not and would not come to her. It was a shadow and an inner darkness that lurked in her otherwise quite nice life. After one night, when she had once again been shut out of and away from something really great, she decided to venture to the prophet's cave to see if she could get a potion to erase the hope for experiencing anything great. She had come to see herself as outside that possibility and began just to wish, not that great things would happen to her, but just that the pain of knowing great things happened to others would just go away in her. She didn't want to feel sad and cheated, and like there was something about her that was messed up or missing an important piece because of this. The feeling was longing, tinged with sadness, and some anger and jealousy. Couldn't she outgrow this simple wish? The simple, stupid desire to be great? If only she could block this out, she would feel whole and complete all the time. What a relief it would be. Maybe the prophet could help. After a long and tedious hard journey, she entered the cave of the prophet. There were 2 gnomes there. They were androgynous. "Sorry you can't see the prophet," they said. "Only those who experience greatness are let in. But we can help you." She was tired, irritated. She had come all this way. These were very familiar letdown feelings. "What do you 2 know?" she asked. "We just know about life." "Not about greatness?" "No." "Well, why don't you know about greatness?" "Because there is no such thing. We spend our time on everyday details, doing every detail as good as possible. This is our goal. This is our aim. Greatness is fleeting. Greatness is a sham. Greatness is not real. You are not great. We are not great. We hear the prophet is great, but we have never met him or her. We suggest you go back into your life and do all the small things well, over and over, to improve the small things. Would that be great? No, it would not. It would be good, honorable, exacting, acceptable, but it would not be great. Pay attention to each small thing, every interaction, each time you make a choice to love better, every exact moment's choice. This may not feel like greatness. It may only feel good, complete, whole. Maybe then they will let you in to witness greatness. Okay, then. That's what I will do. I understand what is next for me. Every exact moment is a choice. In every interaction, there is a chance to love better, whether it's good times or bad times. This is what I know is real. The moment when you're with someone you love. The beauty of the sun through the trees. The love and attention that you give to and from animals. How good it feels to sleep well and cozy. How nice it is to provide a good experience for others. How satisfying it is to be involved in solving a complex problem. How horrible it is to be hateful and judging. The beauty and utter on its ownness of nature. And when it all stops and love is present, there's our natural state. I don't know if that's greatness. But when we're in a space and in a time where we feel like America's not great, that our way of going forward is not being honored, perhaps the everyday, loving in the moment, choosing every moment to be open to understanding, to be open to dialogue, to be aware of when you have power and privilege, and to be honestly aware of when others aren't being treated well, and to speaking up when you need to. That's how we're going to get through the next 4 years. That's how we're going to do this. That's how you can have power in the situation that you may not feel great about. And if there's women out there who feel like because Hillary didn't get to be president this time, that women are never going to get up there, that's not true. This is one time. It was close. She just didn't get the prize. But that doesn't mean that women who are loving and caretakers and sharp business women and coming upon discoveries in the world all the time and bringing people together to solve problems and express their talents, it doesn't mean that a woman isn't going to be president one day. It will happen. It's just not this time. And between now and then, no matter who you are, embrace every moment with understanding, caring, and love. Try to help solve the problems. Don't shut down and give in to the fear that's going to be out there. This is how we fight it. I'm not saying it's easy. It's going to be harder than it would have been. But this is the earth that we have. This is the country that we have right now. And we're all a part of it. And we have to work together, especially now. Take care. And thanks for listening. Good luck as we go forward. Stay in love. Love big.